Yes, everyone, welcome to this webinar in the Opera webinar series. This is on dirty data and open data, and we have around 1 hour, and yeah, let's see how it goes here. First, a few words on Opera. Maybe if you joined the webinar last week, you will know about it, so I'll make it very short, but there might be new ones here, not knowing so much about Opera, so a few words. Then why on earth talk about dirty data and not dirty dancing, which might be more fun? Then what is dirt? We will have a philosophical approach to that and see, well, what is it then? And in our in our setup, a bit more closer to what we do in our work, it might be relevant to talk about dirty data. And then in the end, I hope we can find time and the spirit for a small group work to find maybe better ways in our work. So let's go on. Well, who am I? I work at Aalborg University in research administration. It's research registration, research analysis, research dissemination, and we work with the pure system there. And well, of course, that's something we bought, so it's not open in the Opera sense, but we work along with it, and we find that it works. I'm part of the Opera project in some of the work packages and lead in one of the work packages. You can read more on our website about the different work packages. And my interest is especially in what I call full-fledged research analysis. That's how to evaluate research across different research areas. I think most of you know that that's a challenge, and I think it's necessary to talk about this and work with it, and well, to find ways in this full-fledged research analysis. Enough about me, a bit on the Opera project. Some Danish universities and international partners are together in this, and the main thing about it is open data and open tools for research analysis. Maybe you know that one of the pillars in open science, as defined in the Lero, for instance, is that one of the pillars is new incentives and new metrics and new ways of analysis, new awards for researchers. But in the Opera project, we look at open data and open tools for these incentives. And then also, as a part of it, new incentives and new awards. It's kindly funded by the Ministry of Higher Education of Science, Higher Education and Science in Denmark. And you can follow us on our website and our Twitter account. Well, motivation is more or less the motivation given in open science, and we have some different aims. I will focus on this also, humanities, which is again this challenge we have with full-fledged analysis throughout all research areas. This work package 2, also humanities, it does several things, but some of the things is that we examine relevant quantitative indicators for societal impact of research. And then we look at impact ontologies and evaluation frameworks in a broader sense. Then we examine barriers and data accessibility for open science evaluation, especially in the area of social sciences and humanities. So that's one of the work packages in Opera. And then this concept of dirty data, I think it provides us with an ethical view on evaluation frameworks. And I will, of course, get back to that, but that's where I think it fits in with this work package in the Opera project. Yeah, why on earth talk about dirty data in this context? Well, if you work with data, you often meet the request that you should wash your dirty data. You should straighten them up in some sense. Could be duplicates, it could be unstructured data, it could be many things. So what are dirty data and what are clean data? What is this concept of dirtiness? And another thing is that cleaning data, it's hard work, and some of us don't like hard work maybe, and we could buy a system to help us, a closed system like could be Insights or Cyval or other systems where you get very nice reports out and everything looks very nice and clean. But when you look closer, is it clean also in these systems? And another perspective, sometimes you meet filthy usage of data in reporting or visualization. It may be that research fields are not covered by the data source. It makes a skewed representation. You have some data covering health science, for instance, or and you want to expand it to other research areas or use the same method, and you make mistakes maybe and make a skewed representation. A filthy representation could be the H-index. I think you could find a lot of arguments that the H-index has problems and can show you filth in this sense. And then for a more personal view, sometimes talk about unclean can disrupt our comfortable theories about reality. If you take this this picture, it's from the movie The Phantom of Liberty, directed by Louis Buñuel, and it turns things upside down and shows that what's normal, that's sitting on the toilet around the table and talking to each other. And what's hidden and secret, that's when you want to go to the dining room and have a meal. Then you ask the housekeeper or the waiter, could you please show me the road to the way to the dining room? So it turns things upside down, and I think sometimes we can learn from turning things upside down, and maybe get a warning of bibliometric or systemic intemperance, using numbers and systems too far. I think that's what we may learn. So why can't we just live in the dirt? Why do we have to talk about this? Thomas White has this nice small essay. I will send this presentation, so the links you'll get afterwards. Thomas White has this small essay where he says that investigating the unclean turns out to be as useful an exercise as examining the highest ideal of justice, morality, and metaphysics. So it's an important task to investigate the unclean. And sometimes thinkers use digressions and marginal comments to demonstrate that not everything is as clear-cut as system builders might think. We have all our nice systems, but do we get rid of dirt, and is everything nice and clean even with the systems? We could ask ourselves. So the issue raised is about boundaries and the implications of transgressing them. In modern discourse, political and other discourses publicly, you can say almost everything, public vulgarities. You can have a dirty language, if I may say so. So what's the implications of transgressing this boundary for public discourse? What happens? I think we all have some idea of politicians which may have transgressed political discourse boundaries, or maybe in our own lives that language changes and boundaries are transgressed. And what are the implications of that? The last why on why talk about dirty data. There was an infamous speech where a Danish prime minister stated that nothing has been swept under the carpet in this matter. It was a case about family reunification in Denmark of Tamil refugees. So nothing had been hidden in this case. And he said it turned out that maybe there was something under the carpet. And another example is that we sometimes export waste or pollution quotas to other countries. Does waste and pollution cease to exist when we export it? I don't think so. So maybe in the concept of cleanliness, some idea of trust, honesty, and openness may be involved. I think so. Other examples, the floor may look clean, but is it clean when we know that all the dirt lies under the carpet? Is the table clean if it looks so just because we say that we have cleaned it? Is the table clean? What about coronavirus? So now we have also put this small talk also in the opera context of openness somehow. But let's go to the matter, dirty data. We'll start a bit back in history with Plato and Socrates. They agreed on some things, and they said that we have doxa and episteme. We have the opinion that you can meet on the marketplace, and then we have real knowledge, which has been tested to some sense, not real test at that time, but real knowledge and the opinion that could change from day to day. And Plato and Socrates says that all things have forms. An example is that if we take the circle, there's the ideal perfect circle, the form of a circle, and it lives somewhere in our minds, or where it lives. Somewhere out there is the perfect circle. And every time we try to draw a circle, it's an imperfect circle. So we have something from the world of forms, and then we have things that we meet in everyday life. Socrates and Parmenides, they had this discussion, and Socrates said that all things have forms, and Parmenides says, well, does that consider dirt also? Because, well, forms and essence and purpose, that's this ideal thing. Then you have the concept of dirt. Can it have a form? Is dirt perfect? Because dirt is it's where perfection and purpose is lost, it's diminished. So that's a difficult thing to talk about in the Platonic discussion, the dirt. So already there, dirt was a thing to discuss. We move on a bit in history, get to the time of alchemy. They talked about purification of elements. They wanted to find pure gold. And as a parallel, they wanted to purify the soul and wash away all sins. So they saw personal development mirrored in natural processes. Then they found out that not everything would turn into gold. You couldn't just make gold out of sand or any other material. Some things might turn into gold. And also on this personal development line, vice would not mutate into virtue. So you should be skilled, or you should learn something to be able to purify the right elements into gold. And this was somehow the first steps of experimental setups. And this was further developed in the Renaissance with the new science. And we have the Platonic Academy of Florence in the 15th century. Now they talked about purification of souls with rational thinking. Wash away the filth of not sins, but ignorance now in the 15th century. And now it was even more systematized. Experiences created in carefully organized settings. Immediate thinking was set up against unnatural, in brackets, experimental settings to find real knowledge. And one expression which is a bit important for our further discussion in about dirt is that they end up with primary and secondary qualities. Nature in itself, the objective nature, it has primary qualities. A car out there, it has a weight, it has a form, it has a speed, and then it has some secondary qualities. It has a color, maybe a sound. If you wish, it has a taste and a temperature. And that's the reason why it's called secondary qualities is because it's sensations in the human subject. And then what's dirt? It's a tertiary quality. It's a psychological reaction to secondary qualities. An example, you see the gray bedcloth cloths, the gray bedclothes. They are gray. That's secondary quality, but you think they are dirty, and that's your psychological reaction to the grayness in the bedclothes. So the conclusion here is that dirt is not really dirt. It's something else. It's not something out there. It's our psychological reaction to what we sense about world out there. So, but that's important. Out of this came that dirt is not really dirt. It's something else, a psychological reaction. And we move on a bit a long bit to 2018, where Olli Lagerspetz published this philosophy of dirt. Olli Lagerspetz is a Swedish philosopher, and he says that we live between facts and practices, and what that means we should dig into a bit. When we talk about dirt, there are two answers, Olli Lagerspetz thinks. The reductionist answer or a naive realist answer. The reductionist, you saw one example before that dirt is not really dirt, it's something else, our psychological reaction. Then there is the naive realist, that dirt is a real quality of the world. Things are dirty because they are. That's one way to state this. So there's somehow a double-minded relation to the world. In our heads, we no longer believe in the enchantment of the world, but in our hearts and bodies, we still live it. We believe in facts, but live in practice. We are in the middle. Either our perception of meaning in the physical world is an illusion, or meaning is mysteriously infused. We have these two possibilities in history, Lagerspetz thinks. And one example of the naive realist is also that, well, we give a religious explanation of dirt, that it's a mystery. It's just there because it's dirty, because it is dirty, or because God says it's dirty. What Olli Lagerspetz says is that the problem is the assumption of the world in itself. And we should move on to this, that we and objects are always already in a practice. We don't have the world out there and us as subjects. We are always already out there by the world and making interpretations and sensations of the world. An example is that we identify jug as a milk jug and not just generally as a hollow object. We can't just have this natural scientific view of the world as something with primary qualities, form and weight and speed, but we set it into a context. We are already always in a practice. A jug is a milk jug, and so on. Lagerspetz goes on and he makes some distinctions and some descriptions of how can we think about dirt from his perspective as already always in practice. Well, there's a master and an additive, a host and a contact item. Something is added to the host, and that's the dirt. We have a thing and it gets dirty. The thing is the host, and then there's this additive, which is the dirt. So we say there's a quality of the underlying object, and it's diminished because it's dirty or messy or damaged or wet. So quality is a point here. And cleaning, what is that? It's to uncover an underlying form. So again, the master is valuable. What we try to uncover by cleaning is valuable. Dirt ruins and pollutes the dirty object. So there's a care for the dirty item. It implies understanding of the teleologies of the item, the purposes of the item. That's what we saw already in alchemy, that you start get an understanding of the purpose of things. Some things could be purified into gold. So care is expressed through cleaning. Then distance seems important. If you're very close to an atom, you can't polish an atom. If you're very far from an item, a galaxy, you can't polish a galaxy. And who would be in charge of doing that? So one condition of dirt is also responsibility. Who's responsible for cleaning? Some conclusions from the hand of Lagerspetz. Dirt gets its meaning in relation to its host. So a gold bar would be dirty in another way than bedclothes. Maybe cleaning is necessary in different time spans, or the meaning of dirt is in relation to its host. Purpose, teleology. A dirty CD, if anyone remembers what a CD is, it cannot fulfill its goal. You can't use it in the machine. It needs to be clean. It's worth cleaning because of its purpose. So clean and dirty, it's always tied up with context, is also one of the conclusions. Another example there is the teacup. You sit maybe right now with a coffee cup or a teacup, and you have a centimeter of liquid in the bottom of the teacup. You think it's clean, otherwise you wouldn't drink from it. But then you take it to the dishwasher. Next to the dishwasher, you place it there, and when you see it there, you see that it's dirty. Or others that come, they would see that the teacup is dirty, even if the physical condition of the teacup is not changed. There's a real change. It goes from clean to dirty, even if the physical setup for the cup is not changed. Then a small digression in the word pure. We have the word clean and we have the word pure, and I just take this in because many of us use a system called pure. Purity is homogeneity. Something is homogeneous. For instance, dirty water would be mixed water. There's no homogeneity. So pure water is free of dirt, or it's unmixed, and pure gold may be dirty. It's pure, but it might be dirty. So this is a small distinction you could make between pure and clean, dirty and impure. Pure may also stand for undisturbed, where clean is brought to someone. The pure gold, it's undisturbed. There's no foreign objects inside, but a cleaned gold bar, it's cleaned by someone. The dirt has been, the mud has been taken off the gold bar. So you could say dirty, that's between two unsullied extremes. Dirty is a concept between two unspotted extremes, the undisturbed and the unclean, or the cleaned. Yeah. There are, of course, other ways of seeing this about dirt, other dirt theorists. Two kinds of reductionism where Lagerspetz doesn't agree. We have hygienic and anthropological reductionism. And what's common is that dirt is not really dirt, but something else. So what they say is that the real world is described in science. There's no dirt here. So dirt is really about hygiene. And hygiene coming from science. But then Lagerspetz asks, what about the dirty shirt? Is it a health risk? Well, maybe not. So that's just a small argument or a question mark. That is dirt really just? Can we just reduce it to a question of hygiene? Maybe not. Cleaning activities, they are not all demonstrably good for physical health. So could they be a symbolic representation of something else? If we talk about pork, sometimes it's talked about as forbidden and dirty. Is it connected to physical health? It might be, but not in this way that it's forbidden or in a religious sense. And Freud, one of the reductionists, he says that our inner perceptions throw a veil of emotional coloring of naked physical reality. So this is about the psychological reaction to secondary qualities. So we had this hygienic reductionism, and another reductionist view on dirt is this theory of abjection, where dirt is the abjected, the discarded, the refused, the thing you don't want to talk about. Or it comes from this anthropological tradition where you reveal something through relativity. Excuse me. Some contents are relative to a culture and therefore must have another deeper description. The anthropologists travel out to some foreign country and observe the tribe or the people there. They meet something unknown and they try to make a understanding or description. They translate it into something else, and in that sense they say it's relative. They reveal the understanding through relativity. And then what's common for this is that dirt is not an essential characteristics of objects. And also it's dependent on power relations. Something is forbidden because God or the president or the government says it's dirty. Kristeva, Julia Kristeva, she wrote The Powers of Horror in 1982. She's one of these abjection theorists. She makes a conceptualization of the world that everything is not presented in the meaningful system, our cultural worlds. So we have a meaningful system, something we understand, and then we meet something that we don't understand. And this other, the abject, that which disgusts us, the taboo, that what is prohibited, the dirt, the holy, all this is something that is outside the meaningful system. So the conclusion here, dirt is rejected, it's abject. And in that sense, dirt is really something else than dirt. So where does all this end? Lagerspetz, from his point of view, he concludes that in this concept of stewardship of objects, he says that our relations to objects are determined by care and responsibility. It needs cleaning, and that presupposes care and responsibility. Care for objects, responsibility about our world around us, responsibility to that world. And he also concludes that the distinction between clean and dirty presupposes a world of culture, a world where we are in charge. We are not just animals following without any responsibility and anything. We have a responsibility and we are in charge if things should be worse or better. That's his opinion. Human cleanliness expresses the idea of a responsible relation towards the environment. Responsibility again. So from this very theoretical discussion, we should try to move on a bit to our field with data and research evaluation and research analysis. What have we learned? So data stewardship, that's even a concept. We have data stewardships. If it's out of this discussion, I don't know, but we know the concept of data stewardship. And I think that implies that we have an eye for dirty data. We care and feel responsible, like Lagerspetz says. Then this concept of distance, which is part of this talk of dirt. Through a system, maybe inside societal, data may look clean, but when you get closer, you may find dirt. So details are often messy. So distance is also something we might find again in our talk about research evaluation and work with data. Contextuality. Cleaning data, that's many things, and great care and responsibility is necessary in order to spot the right ways to clean the data. It's not the same to clean a gold bar, as I said, and gray bedclothes. And one example in our discussion here with dirty data and research evaluation could be the ORCID, you know, this unique ID for researchers. In the ORCID, there may be different versions of publications because ORCID collects content from many sources. It may be Web of Science or Scopus, and so there are different versions of a publication in a person's ORCID profile, and that may be all right. Its versions, backing up the registration of the publication in ORCID. But from the researcher point of view, he may or she may say that it's duplicates. I have the same publication coming from Web of Science and Scopus, so now I have two versions of two duplicates and not just versions backing up the same publication. So that's this idea of contextuality, that cleaning is what you need it for, or the context you want to live in or use the data. And then this about host and additive. An example that a tree maybe not be dirty as such. You have a tree out in the woods. I don't think you consider a tree dirty. But if a girl climbs the tree in a Sunday best, they may be dirty and soil the girl's dress. I think that's a natural way to think also in Lagerspetz conceptualization. And if we translate that to our dirty data discussion, data may be nice and clean, but when they're used for evaluation of research throughout a university, they may be messing up research evaluation at that university. You take Scopus data and you want to evaluate all university, all departments and faculties at your university, even social science and humanities, technical engineering, health, everything in one big pot from that Scopus data. And I think you will make messy research evaluation. So the data may be clean and nice in the Scopus system, but when you start using them in some context, then the dirt is added. So we move slowly to the end, and I'll try to conclude some things here. Dirt is not nothing, at least Lagerspetz says. Imagine unspoiled nature, rocks, decaying leaves, grass, clay. Is the mud that ruins my shoe dirty? If it is, what is so? Was it so before I came there? Maybe human presence makes the ground dirty. That may be a weird conclusion also for Lagerspetz, to say that human presence makes the ground dirty. He wants to say instead that there's a crucial change, and it consists in the introduction of possible questions that would have no application in conditions of untouched nature. For example, can I walk here without ruining my shoes? That's a change in purpose, a change in teleological change. Nature might not be dirty, but when I walk there, a new question arises: can I walk here without ruining my shoes? So that's one of the important things, that the changes that new questions are possible. Yeah, dirt is not nothing, and dirty data is not nothing. Research administrators, evaluators, developers, bibliometricians, persistent identifier system of suppliers, and much more use data. When you want to use specific data, we may experience dirtiness in the data. But were the data dirty before the context of use? Again, like Lagerspetz, that's maybe not the point. If it was dirty before we wanted to use it, the important thing is the questions that are now applicable. We should ask the right questions when we want to use things, and we see that dirt may arise from the data we want to use. So a good question is that in what context should the data be used, and how should they be cleaned or supplemented to make up for messiness? And I have this example here from the bibliometrician, a very nice blog where Lizzie Gadd, she argues that good research evaluation started with good questions. So at least she might agree with Lagerspetz also. yeah, just some examples. The opera, React. I think this is for you to investigate further if you like when you get the PowerPoint. Well, that was my small talk here, and I hope you are willing to engage in a small group work. I would divide you in small groups with 4 people in each, and then in the chat, I hope you can find. There's a file in the chat. Can you see that one? Please nod if that's, and that's your agenda for the small group work. Will take 10 minutes, and then I'll make a small sum up in the end. I will put you out in small groups with 4 people, and hope that you will have a good discussion. Hi there, and welcome back. Hope that you had a small discussion about better questions. Any comments right here on the talk or your discussion there? If not, then I have just a few more things. Yes. So what is right? We can't agree, I think, or eternal truth exists. It's a long discussion. It's an important discussion indeed, but maybe we could be on the right track if we would start asking, is there a better way? We are asked to work with systems and use data from the systems. What if we could start saying, when someone asks us to do an analysis, you want an analysis, just a moment, I will have a look if the data are clean enough, transparent and suitable for the analysis you want. And I think that's the conclusion of my talk here. Then please email me or visit our website, and remember the Opera conference in November. You'll read about it here. But thanks for joining, and that's it.
Thank you, Poul.
Thank you, Poul.